Hello everyone, I am Shivangi Sharma and I have prepared a project that is loan prediction using machine learning. So basically this project predicts whether the loan will be granted or not. It is based on the classification techniques which classify whether the loan will be approved or not. Loan status can have two values, either yes or no. Yes if the loan is approved, no if the loan is not approved. So in this video, I will be explaining the project step by steps. So let's begin with the very first step. So the next step is that is very first step to import all the libraries that will be needed in the project. So these are the libraries I have imported: pandas, numpy, matplotlib. Then the next step, and that is a very starting step of the project, is loading the dataset. So we load the dataset, and this dataset is taken from Kaggle. So I have loaded the dataset using pandas library, that is pd.readcsv, and here we have used df.head to get the top 5 samples of the data. Then the next step is to identify the number of rows and number of columns in the data, and that we can get through df.shape. So we can say that there are 614 samples and 13 attributes. Then the next step is to identify the data type of different columns that we can get using info function. So here df.info tells the data type of different columns, that is loan IDs of object, gender is of object, married is of object type, and so on. Now the next step is to know how many null values or missing values are present in the data. So that we can get through is null.sum function. So this tells the number of null values in a particular column. And the next step is using the describe to get more information about the data, and using df.columns to get the column names of the dataset. So the next step after loading the dataset is data preprocessing. We need to preprocess the data to get some useful insights out of that raw data. So the first step is to impute missing values, and to impute missing numerical values we can fill the null missing values using main. So here in the column loan amount, all the null values will be filled by the mean of that particular column, and same with loan amount term and credit history. Now we can see here that these columns have zero null values. Secondly, we have to handle categorical data, and in categorical data we can impute the missing values using mode of that particular column. Like in gender column, we will fill the null values using the mode of that particular column. Same with married, dependents, and self-employed. So at last we see that all the null values are imputed, and here we get zero null values in all the columns. Now the next step is to exploratory data analysis. That is, we need to analyze the data and view those results in the form of graphs. So I have imported one another library, that is import cbonus SNS. So in this we have firstly plotted the count plot for gender, so which shows there how many number of males and how many number of females are there. Secondly, we have drawn the count plot for dependents. This also shows the number of dependents. Okay, so next is married. This shows the status of married, that is how many are male and how many are female. So next is to plot and analysis the numerical data, in which we have plotted this plot of co-applicant. So this shows the numerical distribution of co-applicant income. This shows the numerical distribution of loan amount. and this is for credit history. So next step is feature engineering, in which we'll get the new columns with the help of existing columns. So here we get the new column total income with the help of two existing columns, applicant income plus co-applicant income. Okay, so next we have seen the top 5 samples, and here we can see the total income has been added to the data. Now we have to transform the data. That is, there is some undistribution or not distributed, so we have to make it properly evenly distributed. So we apply log transformation here, and this, and again plot for applicant income, and here we see the evenly distributed data. Now same we have done with total income column. We have applied log transformation on this column, and see this is the distributed plot. Same with the loan amount column, we have applied log transformation to get the distributed results, and so same with the loan amount term log. So this is the exploratory data analysis. Now we have to drop some columns that are not so much useful, and after dropping these columns we can get more precise data. So for that we have just made the list of the columns that we need to drop, and we are dropping by using drop functions, and columns is equal to calls. We have passed the list, and axis is equal to 1. So all these columns will be dropped. After dropping these columns, we need to handle categorical data. Like we have seen earlier, some columns are of object data type, so we need to convert it into integer or float. So we can use one-hot encoding. It is one of the methods to handle categorical data. So we have done one-hot encoding. We have just made the list of the columns that we need to convert, and using loop for call in columns, it will pick one column and it will just transform, or it will convert the data using pandas library get dummies function. So here we can see that all these categorical data has been converted. So all these data is in integer form. We can also see by using info function that all the data is converted into integer and float. Now there is some another file that is known as test data. We just load that test data file, and we'll do all these functions that we have done on training data to testing data. So just we have to fill missing numerical values, missing categorical data, and so on. One hot encoding. So we have just done all those things that we have done on training data now on testing data. And we can see the top 5 samples of testing data. Test.help, and null values 0, as we have just inputted all the numerical null values. Now the next step is to split the data in training and testing. We have to train some data now, and we'll just split the data in two parts. Okay, so X is a column and Y will be our loan status column. It will be a target column. We have to get this target. So we have just converted it in X and Y form. Print Y. Now we can see the correlation matrix, like how one column is dependent on another column. So we have just made the correlation matrix for the same, and now splitting the data using sklearn.model selection library, importing train test split. So importing this train test split, we split the data in two parts, right? And the test size will be 30%. So there will be 70% will be training data and 30% will be testing data. So we get the shapes of training and testing data, and these are the number of samples in training and testing. Now the main step is to train the model using different models of classification. So first model we have used is perceptron. So from linear model we have imported perceptron and we have just applied perceptron on this data, and after that we need to get the accuracy. So using sklearn.metrics import is accuracy score, we have just got the training and testing accuracy, that is very low, 35% and 30%. So as this model shows very low accuracy, we need to see some other model that gives proper accuracy or a quite correct accuracy. So next is importing logistic regression and using this model and finding out the accuracy of training and testing, and in this we get quite good accuracy, that is 67% and 70%. And we should see some another model too, and that is SVM. From sklearn.svm we have imported SVC. SVC stands for support vector classifier and SVM stands for support vector machine. So applying same on the data, and we in this we have got the accuracy 67 and 72, and this is quite good because testing accuracy is more than the training accuracy. So we can say that model is trained quite good. Next is decision tree classifier, and in this we have got the training accuracy is 100% and testing is 57%. But this is not so good because in training it is getting 100% accuracy, but in testing it is only getting 57%. So we can say that SVC is more good than decision tree. And the next is random forest classifier, and in this too we have got 100% accuracy for training rate and 64 for testing. Now the next step is feature selections. So we can have some features, or we can say we can select some more important attributes that are more important in the training. So using CLF feature importances we can get this bar graph. So the next part is hyperparameter tuning. Hyperparameter tuning is basically used for improving the performance of the model. So we are using hyperparameter tuning in random forest classifier. So we have given n estimators is equal to 25, min sample split equal to 50, max depth is equal to 7, max features is equal to 1. So here we have done hyperparameter tuning, and now we'll have the confusion matrix. So this is the confusion matrix, and this is the pictorial presentation of confusion matrix. Now the next and the last step will be to compare the performance of different classifiers. So here are different classifiers we have imported, and we'll just compare the performance of these classifiers. So we have just written the code to compare. We have made one less name and dictionary accuracy, and we'll just append this dictionary using the accuracy of different models. So we have got printed these are the accuracy of different models, and we'll plot the bar graph showing the different accuracy of different models. So here we have plotted bar graph which is showing the accuracy of different models, and in this we can say that SVC has the highest accuracy. So this is all. Thank you.